All right, I was watching the Man United game, preseason friendly against Leeds. It's halftime, and I just thought to myself, yeah, let's switch that off and talk about something else, man. I was even thinking, should I do a reaction to that? That is, we're in trouble. But let's talk on Marcus Rashford, because we've just gotten a report today from David Ornstein that Barcelona are going to proceed with a loan with an option to buy at the end of the season to bring Marcus Rashford to the club for the 2025-26 campaign. Man United are happy to let him go as well too. Let's talk about it, because it does look like Marcus Rashford will have a new home for next season. And I don't think anybody was under the illusion that he was going to stay at Man United. Look, when you get your kit number stripped of you while you're still under contract, that's probably a pretty big sign that you're not wanted at the club. On top of that, he's been exiled from training with the first team squad. He's been training at Carrington by himself. He's part of like the Forbidden Five at Man United of himself, Malacia, Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony. You can be at the club, but don't train with us. We want you to leave. They want to leave. But as I said yesterday in my Embuemo video, I think it's pretty difficult for any of those guys to really expect to get the move they want, bar maybe Garnacho, without sacrificing a section of their salary or hoping to go maybe on loan. It's difficult because of the money that they make. And Rashford, I said in the video yesterday, I don't see a reality where we sell him this season. I think it's going to end up being a loan with an option to buy. Lo and behold, 24 hours later, we get this news, and it appears like Rashford will be a Barcelona player next season. Now, there's three ways of looking at this. First and foremost, I'm going to start with Barcelona. Barcelona have been looking for a left-sided option all summer long. Nico Williams was the preferred option. I made a video on that. We know how that broke down. And if you don't, I mean, long story short, I guess Nico Williams and his camp had concerns about whether Barca would be able to officially register the player due to their standing with La Liga. Barcelona didn't want to put a clause in his contract that would allow him to leave the club for free if they weren't able to register him. Therefore, it became kind of a standstill, and Nico Williams decided that he would rather stay at Bilbao, in fact, signing a long-term deal to keep him at the club for another 8 years. Barcelona tailed their interest elsewhere, and there were reports of Luis Diaz being a big option for them. Liverpool want an extortionate amount of money, in my opinion. I love Luis Diaz, but I think it is a lot of money for the player that he is. They've looked at Rafael Leao, but Rashford, I think, is probably the safest option for them, because of the fact that it's a loan of an option to buy. There's no real pressure if the deal doesn't work out to be committed to him longer than the season. But as for Barca, I think this is an interesting one, because when you think about where Rashford could fit in this Barca team, I actually think it's a decent signing. I actually think it's potentially a good signing, because this is a guy that can fill in minutes on the left and up front. And I think those are two areas where Barcelona were probably looking to strengthen. Lewandowski is only getting older, and he was amazing last season. Scored so many goals. It was a real bounce back campaign for Lewandowski. A campaign that I don't think a lot of people thought he was going to have. However, he did miss time throughout the season, and he did show, I think, like cracks in the body, right? He isn't the same player he was 4 or 5 years ago when he was at Bayern scoring 50 a season. And I think Barca slowly have to start looking for a long-term replacement, but also they probably need an option that can reliably rotate minutes with him. And Ferran Torres did a really good job of that last season. But with all due respect to Ferran, I actually think Rashford, if he performs at his best possible level, is a better option as a backup center forward than Ferran Torres is. He offers something different as well too, in terms of transition, running off the last line, being a threat with his pace, burning defenders. That's something Rashford provides better than a lot of forwards in Europe when it comes to transition running. And then you look at the left-hand side, right? You look at this Barcelona team, and I think it's a lot of ball-to-feet players. Yamal, as we know, ball-to-feet. Get him the ball-to-feet, and he can unlock defenses. Pedri, ball-to-feet. Rafinha is a bit of an outlet, but also ball-to-feet. Lewandowski, obviously, is not going to be that guy that stretches defenses, as we know. Olmo is not really ball-to-feet so much so, but a player that kind of likes operating in the half spaces, arriving late into the box, but again, not really an outlet. Rashford offers that running in behind from different areas of the pitch that I don't know if Barcelona really possess. And in fact, when you look at Barca, maybe their most dangerous outlet, if you want to call it that, is Balde, their left back, who is a ridiculous presence down the entire left-hand side, at times practically dominates that flank, and it almost allows Rafinha to play in more central areas, to pop up closer to goal. Now, if Rashford is starting from the left, does it kind of allow Rafinha to maybe even play starting from a central area? So you could almost see a front four of Rashford, Rafinha, Yamal, and Lewandowski. Maybe that just gives Barcelona that extra option, similar to what might have happened if Nico Williams was at the club. But just in general, it's a good option to have as depth. That's another attacking option that you are adding to the arsenal. And I think you look at those attacking options, right? Lewa, Ferran, Rashford, Rafinha, Fermin, Olmo, Yamal. 7 amazing options. Honestly, I think that really adds a lot to Barcelona. As for Marcus Rashford, this is a move that he has made no secret at all that he wanted to happen badly. He's spoken to reporters saying how much he would have loved to play with Lamine Yamal. He's made this a priority for himself, and I think he's a bit fortunate that the Nico Williams move broke down, because clearly that was the priority and that Luis Diaz is too expensive. But the opportunity has now fell to his feet. And this is a huge move for him. Not only because he's joining Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but it almost feels a bit last chance saloon for Rashford. Now, he had a decent spell at Villa. Good moments, okay moment. I didn't think he lit the world up at Villa, if I'm being absolutely objective here. I thought he was okay. I thought he was great in moments, okay in others. And I'll just go and say that. For him to land at Barcelona at this point in his career, given how the last few years have kind of gone, I don't want to say it's fortunate, because I've heard Teddy Sheringham say that recently, saying, oh, Rashford doesn't deserve the move to Barcelona. If Barcelona want to bring him to the club, that means he deserves it. But this does kind of feel like Rashford's last big chance at a big European club to make an impact. Because if it doesn't work for him at Barca, where's his next destination? Man United, it seems like that story is over. Where does he kind of fall on his feet after that? Does he kind of end up at a Milan, who are a big name, of course, but not the same Milan that we know of 20 years past? You get where I'm saying? Like, Barca really feels like the last chance to kind of stamp your mark as, oh, I'm still a top player that can play for the best teams in the world. If he doesn't work out at Barca, it's probably taking a big step down in terms of the next club he plays for. So it is a big opportunity for him, and it's an opportunity I really hope he takes, because if you guys know me, right, I get frustrated by Rashford, but I also get frustrated by him because I think he's a really, really talented player. I've watched Rashford since literally the first kick of a ball in a Man United shirt. My first game ever watching the guy, I've said the story a million times, was his debut against Midtjylland. So I'm invested in the guy, or at least I was a lot more, maybe not so much anymore, but I still want to see him do well, and I still believe that talent doesn't just disappear. Ability doesn't just go out the window. There is still a player in Marcus Rashford. I truly believe that. Now, a lot of it is on him. A lot of this move for him to work out is on him, because my one gripe with Rashford is I find him to be a moody player at times. As in, his performances really kind of depend what mood he's in. If Rashford is confident, if he's in the mood, if he's positive, if he's happy, if he's got a coach kind of wrapping his arm around his shoulder and really prioritizing him, I think Rashford can be a really dangerous player. And he can kind of hit red hot form at times where for 4, 5, 6 games in a row, he looks unplayable. We've seen Rashford go through stretches in his career where he looks like one of the best players in the world. And you're like, this is what all the potential is about. This is the player we know he can be. However, with Rashford, the frustrating bit is when it's not working out, when his head kind of falls down, when his confidence is low, when he's not really feeling it, when he's moody, we honestly get a player in Rashford that is unplayable, but in the worst way possible. I've seen times with Rashford where when he's not in the mood, it's like playing with 10 men. He doesn't run, he doesn't press, he loses the ball easily, he puts his head down. It's not a positive for the team. So it depends on the Rashford that you get at Barcelona. And I think that depends on him, right? Barcelona are league champions. Barcelona are one of the best teams in the world. Barcelona have a super positive vibe around their camp. Hansi Flick has proven now at 2 different clubs that he's one of the best managers in the world at extracting production from attacking players. We saw it with Serge Gnabry at Bayern. We've seen it with Rafinha at Barcelona recently. He can take attacking players and absolutely elevate their level. So if Rashford goes to Barcelona, you would expect he's the kind of player that Hansi Flick is going to absolutely love. He's fast, he's tenacious, he can score goals, he can strike the life out of a ball, he's skillful, he's flary. That should be a player that lights the world up under Hansi Flick. It just depends on Rashford. And I think he will know as well too, first of all, given how much he's spoken about how much he wants this move to happen, but also given the fact that he's 27 years old. Football moves like this, guys. It moves like this. Yesterday he was 18. Today he's 27 years old. Football waits for nobody. And I think this could be last chance saloon, and I think he'll know that. So one thing I really want to see with Rashford when he goes to Barcelona is the pressing side to his game. That's a huge gripe from me about Rashford, because for me, pressing should be a bare minimum. Why should any player not press? It's like for professional athletes, it should be the easiest thing. Just run. Just stay disciplined in the press that you're being taught by your coach and put in the yards. We're not asking you to do a skill here. We're not asking you to strike a ball a different way. All the technical sides of the game, Rashford has pretty much down. But the pressing side is a mental thing. Every player can press, but will they press? Hansi Flick, his team are a high pressing machine. Barcelona operates so well and so effectively because of how high up the pitch they basically choke teams in. One player kind of being off of it, one player not being 100% committed to the press, and the whole system falls apart. Rashford is going to have to buy into that press. And it's something that, to this day, I haven't really seen him commit to since what? He was 21, 22 years old. He hasn't really kind of bought into that. So that's something he's going to have to buy into at Barca. But with Barca, the risk of the press is the reward that you can kind of get out of it. You can win the ball high up. You can attack teams in transition. You can attack teams with speed. And that's where I expect Rashford's game to really elevate and really shine at Barca. I expect Rashford to have a really good, productive season at Barcelona because he has all the tools to do so. He's still a top player. There's still loads of talent. So I like the move for him, and I like the move for Barcelona. Now, Man United are the final player in this entire situation, right? This is a kid from your academy that, since the word go, has kind of been destined for greatness in the eyes of a lot of Man United fans. He was given the number 10 after 3 seasons, or after 4 seasons, rather. He was kind of given the world. He was given a huge bumper contract in his last few seasons at Man United, which is making him so difficult to sell. But the story has kind of ended in a way none of us wanted it to happen, right? We all wanted Rashford to stay the rest of his career at Man United and be a cult hero, be a legend, scored the most goals in United's history because he had the talent to do so. And it just hasn't worked out that way, right? And Rashford has now left the club. Rashford, over the last few seasons, has been one of the faces of United's failure. When we talk about United's failure, we talk about Bruno, we talk about Rashford, we talk about Ronaldo, we talk about De Gea, we talk about Pogba. He's one of the big faces of that, right? He's gone now. So that's one less finger fans can kind of point at Marcus Rashford. That's not to basically take any blame away from Rashford, but that's also to say, right, we can't look at one player anymore for why United finished. We sold Rashford, or we loaned Rashford out to Villa, and we finished 15th place. So clearly, Rashford was not the problem at Man United. In fact, there is no one problem at the club. But I think often as a fan base, we kind of get put into this mentality of only one guy is at fault, and once we get rid of him, we should be okay. Rashford's gone now, right? That's a chapter that's going to end. Let's leave that in the back window. How do we move on from this? Because this is a player that Amram has decided, and the club have decided, we're better without. If that's the case, the guys who are coming in have to be able to elevate us, right? We can't just let go of players who, look, Rashford, if you look in terms of quality, before we signed Mbeumo and Cunha, was arguably still our best attacker. We loaned him out. We basically got rid of him. We sent him out the back door, leaving us with an attack of Garnacho, Ahmad, Højlund, and Xerxes. I'm sorry, none of those guys are better than Marcus Rashford. They're not. There's a reason why Barcelona are after him, and they're not after Garnacho, for example, or they're not after Højlund. So that was a big call from us. Now, we brought in Cunha and Mbeumo. Those guys have to deliver in a big way. But more so than that, we have to ensure, and this is not to take away any blame from Rashford, because he's a grown man. And at the end of the day as well, too, he is responsible for his performances. But we have to ensure the same fate that kind of followed Rashford doesn't happen to the next group of players that we have. Because as much blame as you can blame at Rashford, and there is blame that you can put at him, there's a reason why so many young, promising attackers also flop at Man United. And it's because they aren't platformed correctly. And they aren't given the right pathway to develop into the players they have the potential to be. Man United have to hold up their hands at some point and admit that, right? Because there's too many examples of players now who at our club go from this to absolute this. How do we ensure that doesn't happen to Ahmad? How do we ensure that doesn't happen to Cunha? How do we ensure that doesn't happen to Mbeumo? That's on the club as well. It's on them because they're fully grown adults and they have to perform as well too. They're being paid a lot of money to perform. But it's on Man United and it's on Ruben Amorim as well too to platform these guys correctly and make sure we do not continue committing the same errors and the same failures that followed other players of past, right? Because these guys are all good. At one point, so was Rashford. At some point, so was Martial. At some point, so was Pogba. At some point, so was, I don't know. You know what I mean, right? How do we ensure the same problems don't kind of persist with this next crop of players? But as for Marcus Rashford, look, I think some Man United fans cannot stand the sight of him at this moment. I'm not really too fussed about him leaving because I think the writing was on the wall. I think it's the right move for United to kind of move along with Rashford, and I think it's the right move for Rashford to kind of move along from the club. I think like every story has an end. This is the end for both parties, right? The love story didn't work out. So I'm kind of over it. I'm not really like, oh, we can't believe we're letting go of Rashford, right? Good players, they pop up tomorrow. It is what it is. But I'm not also one of those guys that's going to hold a grudge against Rashford. I see a lot of United fans online like, oh, like good riddance. Get this guy out of here. He was a cancer to the dressing room. He's a cancer to the club. We're better off without. I'm not going to be like one of those guys. I'm not going to be like one of those guys. I'm also not going to be one of those guys saying, oh, Man United, what a bunch of schmucks. I hope Rashford rips it apart and makes United look... Look, I hope everyone does well, man. Honestly, I'm a Man United fan. I'm not a Marcus Rashford fan. But I also wish him a lot of good luck. And I think he will do really well at Barcelona. But I repeat, a lot of it is on him as well, too. This is crunch time now, man. This is crunch time. 27 years of age. This is when the best players in the world make their mark. 27. This is supposed to be the prime of your career. Go show him what you can do. Go show him what you can do. And if you absolutely light the world up, no one will be happier to see it than me. That's all from me. I'm gonna go back to watching the second half, reluctantly. But let me know what you guys think of this Rashford deal to Barcelona. Do you see it working out? Where do you see him kind of playing in this team? And like, share, subscribe. See you guys very, very soon. Peace.